Hello YouTube, it's me, your boy B3, back another kicking vlog video. You know, I've been doing lots of Godzilla vlogs the past few months, and today I have yet another one. And I just want to talk about how I would write Godzilla, because I'm actually working on my own Toku series right now that's going to have suit acting and stuff. I've hit a lot of roadblocks, like funding. I've stopped buying comics and action figures almost completely in order to fund this project. And I'll link to a website where you can help me fund it if you want. But it's going to be pretty cool. And I just wanted to talk, because I have to write for it. So I wanted to talk about how I would write certain Toku franchises. And here's how I would write Godzilla. Now, my Godzilla films would be more serious. Not too serious or incredibly dark or anything. But they would have serious themes. Like Shin Godzilla and the original Godzilla had. Some mini scenes would be more like scenes from a horror film, which I think would be pretty rad. I would not make it continuity with the 1954 film. I would give Godzilla a new origin, one that's a bit more modern, like they did for Shin Godzilla. His origin was more based in the tsunami that destroyed a nuclear power plant in Japan than it was nuclear bombs. So, you know, they kind of updated him. And then their anime Godzilla, Godzilla Phyllis, was more about global warming and things like that. So I would have a new Godzilla. Very cool design, but still have classic features. And he would have a new origin. I would want his first film to be solo, just him. However, the last several Godzilla films have seen really 3 solo Godzilla movies. Shin Godzilla was solo and proved that we can still have good solo Godzilla movies. But then, the way I see it, Planet of the Monsters and City on the Edge of Battle were also solo. And he didn't even really fight Ghidorah much in Planet Eater anyways. So I feel like Godzilla would need an opponent, because if we have too many solo Godzilla films all at once, then it's going to get boring. You know? It's going to get boring. I'd have it set in the modern day, just to be more relevant. Maybe there could be a sequel film set in the past or future, like how Destroy All Monsters was set in the future and then they went back to the present. But I would want to keep it mostly in the present, because that is where the social message would be relevant, is in the present. I would have other monsters. If I was writing one single Godzilla movie, I would have an original monster. A brand new monster. If I was writing an entire series, I would of course bring back legacy monsters. Rodan, Mothra, Anguirus, King Ghidorah, and Mechagodzilla would all, of course, be in it. I would also definitely include Gigan and Varan, because Gigan is my favorite villain, Varan is my favorite ally. And several things like that. I would also include Zone Fighter and Godman and Green Man if I could. Probably not Godman and Green Man. They would maybe be like in supplemental materials that connect to the canon, but Zone Fighter I could see having like his own film, and I've actually done a whole video just about that. I would also have strong female characters, not just for diverse representation, but because the Godzilla franchise is literally built on strong female characters. I've heard a lot of debate about that recently, and we all know Ishiro Honda loved strong women. Since the original Godzilla movie, we have had many, many strong female characters in Godzilla movies. The Godzilla franchise thrives on strong women. Right? Exactly. So, definitely would have strong female characters. And I'd have as much representation as possible, but, you know, that's how it be. So, what else? Huh? What else? I'd have solo films for many other monsters if I could do that. And I would try to include every single legacy monster I could. And then there are one-off monsters I would try to include again, like Titanosaurus and Megalon, characters who I thought deserved more time in the spotlight. And then there's comes down to the character of Godzilla himself. how would I specifically write Godzilla? Well, I really might take kind of a millennium approach to Godzilla, as you can see here with this 2002. Because Godzilla has just had so many different interpretations over the years, and it really proved that Godzilla can work as pretty much any type of character. I mean, we've had Godzillas that were forces of nature, animals. We've had Godzillas that were heroes, anti-heroes, and even a couple villains. So, I really think that Godzilla should be written kind of as the force of nature type, and he fights other monsters to kind of protect his territory, but as soon as he's done fighting that other monster, he has no problem turning around and then just destroying the city, like he did in Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah, or perhaps Godzilla 2000. I think that would be the best type of Godzilla to write. I mean, the Millennium films still hold up very well. So I think that's exactly what we need. Turn him a little bit. There you go, new visual. Now, I would also change up Godzilla's powers a little bit. Remember how they changed his powers for Shin Godzilla and a little tiny bit for Planet of the Monsters? I think that would be smart to do as well. I think that would be really smart. So, what kind of new powers would I give Godzilla specifically? Well, I might keep some of his Shin Godzilla powers. Not the form changing. I feel like that could get tedious and could cause some storytelling problems in more than one film. Because if you have him constantly evolving and de-evolving at will, opponents might not be much of a challenge. He might be able to defeat opponents pretty easily if he can just immediately evolve into something that can best it. But being able to shoot blast out the spines, I would keep that in. I would definitely keep that in. I probably wouldn't keep the tail beam, but different types of beams from the mouth has been something since really the Heisei era, so we should definitely have that in there. Of course, his regeneration ability, and I would have it be a very good regeneration ability. Like Godzilla could grow back an entire limb if he wanted. Pretty much, like, incredibly good. I know you might say, oh, you know, he's had healing prowess that good before. Look at GMK. Well, in GMK, he had a mystical origin. He was revived by the souls of people killed by the Japanese in World War II. My Godzilla would be a science-based Godzilla. So he wouldn't be able to regenerate from just a heart. Right? Like, to regenerate, my Godzilla would need his head and the majority of his torso. At the very, very, very least. And even then, he would still need a lot of nuclear power. I would also have my Godzilla's beam attacks be something that he used sparingly. He would not use them often at all. Because this is kind of how I've always thought about Godzilla's beams, even since I was a child. Think about it this way. Godzilla eats nuclear energy, but his blasts are nuclear energy. Every time he uses an atomic blast, it's basically the equivalent of puking. So he should really use it sparingly. Not to destroy cities, really just to fight off actual threats. Something that's actually a threat to him. Because if he pukes that up, he's going to need to absorb even more energy, which could explain why after defeating a monster, Godzilla immediately turns to attack a city, because he needs to absorb more energy, because, well, the physical part of the fight was exhausting in the first place. He needs it to boost his metabolism to heal, and also he's straight up puking up his food source while he fights. That's just how I've always thought about it. And so really sparingly used weapons. But I do want to keep the spine lasers. That was rad as hell. And how would I write some other monsters? Mothra would still be magic. Mothra's most interesting thing about her is that she's mystical in origin and powers, and Mothra would have a bunch of laser powers and stuff, like in the Heisei era. That would all be rad. I would still have Batra as well. Batra would be an anti-hero, of course. I'd have other monsters like Varan, who would just want to be left alone. I would have Baragon, who would just be basically an animal, who just destroyed things on accident, etc., etc. Mechagodzilla would not be alien in nature, it would be human in nature. In fact, I think Kiru is the best Mechagodzilla, so a human-made Mechagodzilla would be very, very awesome. Maybe it could get hacked by aliens, or something like that. In fact, I actually have a pretty good idea for Mechagodzilla that I'll get to in a different video. But yeah, that's really just how I would write Godzilla. I would give him a physical opponent every movie, and I would also make him a member of a larger species. So maybe we would see a female Mechagodzilla or a young Mechagodzilla in the series. But currently I have no plans to make a Godzilla movie, obviously, and if I did, it would just be with action figures, so it would probably be with an established Godzilla design, and I wouldn't be able to do most of the stuff I would want to do anyways. But that's it. Thank you all very much for your support. Remember to rate, comment, and subscribe. Check out all the cool links in the description below, Facebook, Twitter, etc. I have many more reviews coming at you soon, as well as vlogs, comedy videos, and as I said, check out the Indiegogo link or whatever I make in the description below if you want to help me make my Toku show. It'll be kind of like Showa Toku. That's it. Thank you all once again. I'll see y'all later.